We've got Jason and Aaron. He's gonna be on the show. We're gonna have some Jason, Aaron, Superman, TMNT, Thor.
That didn't rhyme.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee.
Said,
Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so...
is the one obvious thing.
Hey, happy Monday, everybody. You are watching Splash Pages. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have an awesome show scheduled for you as always. And with us, we'll kick it on over to Carrie. How's it going?
it's going okay. Tonight we have Reddit Oscar is drinking some Black Velvet, and I've had a sinus infection for almost 2 months now. I'm working on it the way that our grandparents used to, and having a little tippy tip for myself. He's a lush, but I'll try to stay sober as we do the show, just warm up a little bit. I'm so excited about the show tonight. Oh my God. I cannot wait for our guest to get here. And while I just get ready to squee, we're going to hand it on over to our other guest host this evening, Mr. Coop.
Here I am. Here I be. Welcome, everybody. If you're unfamiliar with Splash Pages, because I've shared this in a lot of Turtles groups, Splash Pages Comic Book Club is a great show. It's hosted by Drew, Leo, and Carrie, and I am just along for the ride here. I am Mr. Turtle, Epic Tales from the Sewers, and Comics Paradox, the Dork Knight. You know, I get around.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Mr. Drew.
I'm praying so that our guest shows up. This worked in one of his comics.
Oh, nice requiem.
Is he here yet?
All
right, you know what? Back in the day, they didn't have email. So 1 second. Keep talking.
I just love that me and Justin were on the same page.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should have done it with a comic.
It's a splash page.
Oh. So, folks, what we're hoping to do tonight is just discuss some of the body of work of writer Jason Aaron, who is currently writing everything. Leo, what do you have any idea of what Jason's writing these days? Huh? Do you?
Yeah. Well, I absolutely do. You know, he's definitely Absolute Superman, and I think he's doing something with some green people.
Yeah, he's currently writing the IDW TMNT series.
Yeah, and
Great stuff.
what else is he? What else is he doing?
Batman,
Bugs,
Namor,
bugs, bugs,
Namor.
bugs, 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 bugs.
What's that
There's a-
one? What's that one called, Carrie?
Bug Wars, isn't it?
Bug Wars. Yeah, but I mean,
Bug Wars.
he has touched every relevant and important character that you can think of, right? I mean, I always thought of him as Mr. Wolverine, and then there's others who have thought of him as Mr. Thor, but Hulk,
Not you.
Ghost Rider.
Yeah, and dude. Okay, I know him from. I've read his Hulk run is insane. I suggested for us all, if we got a chance to read The Goddamned, if you guys have ever seen that. You know me, I'm always like, okay, let me find something fucked up and weird. And The Goddamned and the Virgin,
Yep, sounds
Goddamn
like it.
Virgin Brides is definitely fucked up and weird.
Oh yeah.
Serious issues there. And there's it, sometimes when I read Jason Aaron's work, I want to ask him what hurt him, because he has a lot of darkness that he brings in with him, but it's never unnecessary. It's not just being edgelordy or anything. There's always a point to what he does with it, and that's what I really like. And we obviously, when we get him here, we're talking about, he's doing the new Absolute Superman. They're supposed to be kind of the absolute or kind of darker backstories for our favorite DC heroes. And Philip Kennedy Johnson was talking about Superman and had said, you can't write an evil Superman, because then he's not Superman. Superman stands for all that's good and everything with the world. And so having this dark outlook on it, I'm really excited with the way that he's taken it on so far. If you guys have been reading, that he's making it be a darker world that Superman's dealing with, instead of the usual crime stuff going on in Gotham and just, fighting Lex Luthor or something. Superman has this real, like, he's still a good guy, but he's seen some of the darker stuff earlier on, and he's trying to fight against that. It's a great way to have a dark Superman story that doesn't tarnish Supes himself.
Well, and I
So.
think the thing being is that what I always like about Jason's work is that it's very much grounded in reality, but it totally embraces the weird. Like we've seen this with Wolverine and the X-Men, which is a great book at a time when the X-Men were very divided. It was literally two schools of thought. You were either with Cyclops or you were with Wolverine's team. And then you also saw that with his run on Doctor Strange, which with Chris Bachalo and Kevin Nolan, which, oh my God, it was just fantastic. Especially
you think how hard it is too with the character like Doctor Strange to make him relevant as a main character, because he's always there in the background doing something, giving a warning or something else, like Secret Wars or anything else like that. Okay, that's like one of the best times you've seen him, but to put him in the forefront and make him interesting is really a difficult task.
Well, I think also, Coop, the other thing that's really important to note is that he approaches them in such a way that he touches on what was, but he also is not afraid of pushing the characters to different levels. Like, for example, in his Doctor Strange run, you had the Empiricum, who were they were like exterminators of magic, and because of them, a lot of spellcasters in the Marvel universe lost their powers and or had to learn new magic, new spells. So, and Jason isn't just doing great miniseries and all that. He's also handled one or two company-wide events. He did Original Sin back in the day with Mike Diodato Jr., which was a fairly big book considering the things that spun out of that. And then there's also Secret War of the Realms.
Yeah.
Which is just a huge story where essentially all of the enemies of Asgard band together and unleash hell on Earth and other places. So that was pretty fucking rad. I'm not gonna lie to you there.
Yeah,
But
I like that a lot, and excellent touch making Daredevil the sort of Heimdall see-all character. You know, with the gate to Asgard. That was so crazy.
well, I mean, and again, Jason just he knows how to, because I feel like sometimes you see certain writers, they every character sounds the same, but Jason knows how to do characters. Like he gets the voice perfect enough. But again, he's not afraid to put them out of their element, which is just all you can really want for a company event or a specific spin on it. I mean, I remember he did this like 1-2 pager. I think it was for Marvel 1000, something like that. It was like one of those big anthology issues, and it was just the Punisher and Wolverine teaming up. And I swear to God, I think they talked about like bath bombs. They're shooting gangsters and they're talking about fucking bath bombs. And I'm just like, I'm with this. Like, yes, let's go. You know? Yeah, it's just it's confidently bizarre. That's how I would describe a lot of his work. It's just, I know what I'm doing. I have confidence what I'm doing. I'm going to get weird with it. And I'm all for it because I feel like sometimes you see people who, they try really hard to be, to emulate their heroes. Like, oh, I want to be the next Grant Morrison. And I'm like, that's a tall order. That's a weird writer, you know? Like you see these people that want to be like their heroes. I'm like, no, but you should be yourself. So, yeah,
You kind of fall into that too, like what you're saying with the voice and all that. I feel like that's one of the things that we're looking at now with the first 4 Ninja Turtle books, which I am overjoyed that most, if not all of you, have read. But to find the voice of these characters, it's so difficult to have a character. I always think it's the most difficult to write for a character like Michelangelo because what do you do to avoid him being just a cliche and just like, oh, party, dude, and like that kind of stuff? Like, how do you make him interesting and not just like, throwing jokes? So something like
well,
that, like give
yeah.
him some, actual character development. So
Well, I think also the thing being is Coop. Now I'm not on your level with turtles, but I've read enough to know that this isn't the first time we've done the brothers are split up doing their separate thing. They have to come back together, but you got to give credit. Like Jason really dropped them in these very different places. You have one of them in prison. The other one is a movie star. The other one is on a mystical journey to be a better leader. The other one is caught in probably the weirdest fight club I've ever seen. And it's just, and again, he also knows how to do scripts that really push the artistic talents of the people in them. And you can see, like, if like, he's confident in who he collaborates with, and he knows how to write something, and it's like, they will do great. And it's true,
well, he's had the absolute who's who of collaborators.
Mhm.
I mean, if you look at it, like if you're counting just cover artists, you've got A. Alex Ross, B. Carlos Bachelor, C. Carlos Bachelor.
Chris Bachelor.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, but you got that. I mean, hell, even these, you have, I believe, a lot of those covers we've seen in
Raphael
Turtles.
Albuquerque,
Yeah, exactly. And then, and then what I just enjoy is that he's got such range. He can do a book like The Goddamned, but then he can also write a masterpiece like Carrie, what he did in Action Comics, reinventing Bizarro.
And
What-
you're talking about all the people he's worked with. He is really good at splitting up arcs with different artists.
Mhm.
Yeah.
if a very good example of this, if you guys have time to read it, it's about 15 issues, I think. But Once Upon a Time at the End of the World is a gorgeous comic. It's 3 different arcs. Each of them are illustrated by somebody else, but it's the same people going through a journey from kids to adult, like young adults and adults doing something to old people. And it all takes place kind of after a cataclysmic event. And they go and they like end up building a paradise and then get together, and then they kind of get divorced and drift off, but they're always still part of each other's lives somehow. He did the same thing with the Hulk run and a lot of his different runs. When he gets to different places, he'll grab a different illustrator that can just kind of cover that. He knows all of their strengths, and it's like, okay, you can do this exactly how I need it. And
hold on.
I think I cut you off in mid thought.
No, you're doing
Please
good.
Go ahead.
I
Okay.
know if I have a sign. I must pray. Hold on.
Okay.
I think he's trying to do it for effect. That's
I feel the thunder and the lightning.
Mr. Pond.
Hurricane,
Hey,
wind,
sensors.
snow.
Speaking of thunder and lightning, you mentioned Thor. Thor: Love and Thunder is his
No. We don't go there.
No.
No, we're not bringing that up.
I haven't watched that one yet.
I
No.
Coop,
kind
I
of
was-
like the movie. I mean, I know it's not everybody's favorite, and I'm not a huge Thor guy, but I don't think it's as bad as people think.
I enjoyed it, but according to my research, he is the creator of Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah. Mhm.
And also with his run, Jane Foster took up the
Yeah, the Mighty Thor. Yeah, that's him.
Dun, 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 dun.
Hey,
Prayers have been answered.
Got it. It worked in
Sorry.
his comics.
Listen.
sorry I'm late. I totally lost track of time.
Oh, it's all good. Don't worry.
course.
Carrie remembered in one of your comics that Thor answered a prayer. So I was like, I did that for like 5 minutes. I was like, you know what? Back in those days, they didn't have email. We're just gonna do that. So
Well,
know.
it worked.
Thank God. Jeez.
I felt the disturbance in the force.
Nice.
got
And
it.
yes, you've also done Star Wars comics. So.
Hey, listen, guys, listen, everybody. Wait, hold on. We can do this now. Everybody, Jason Aaron. Yeah,
Thanks.
there would be more
Welcome to
pomp and
Smash Pages.
circumstance, sir. But we were looking at our beards and trying to look at tips. We were looking at photos of you. We're just like, damn, it's a good beard.
And it's a Monday, so that's good.
well,
And like
I,
Garfield says, no one likes Mondays.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know how. I haven't actually combed my beard today, so I'm
Oh,
not sure
boy.
how it's looking.
It still looks quite well groomed, sir.
Well, thank you.
So
Is it true that's not your beard and it's really just Kryptonian stardust?
Oh, that's good. Like that's a good Superman beard idea.
there you go. Bam. So thank you for joining us. I know you're familiar, especially with the little one up there, because when we looked over your interview that you did with Carrie at Terrificon, I was like,
Right.
yeah, I'm on for almost 30 minutes. And she was like, I know,
20.
would have sat there the whole time, but he had things to do. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. He's Jason Aaron. He had
Sure, and I've got a turtle tiki mug upstairs.
Oh yeah, you do.
from that encounter too.
Is it the best one?
No,
Different turtle,
Oh, okay. I got them all.
but
Yeah.
those are good too.
Maybe.
I
I need
I
some
didn't go to
Teenage
that
Mutant Ninja
site,
Turtles.
Coop. Yeah, you need to tell me that site, Coop, and give me your address, and we'll have a Christmas present arranged super fast.
I appreciate that. I wasn't like trying to
Oh.
get free swag, but I
Oh
appreciate
no! That, trust me. Like I said, she coordinated all of that. I know. I was her driver. She was like, "You be very careful. They're porcelain. They cannot break. We have to put them in the gift bags, and then we have to get this. Did you remember which one is which?" And I'm like, "We're good. We're good. They're gonna love it. They're gonna love it. They're not expecting this. No one. They're like, hey, you know what? Are our fans gonna bring us a tiki mug or beer?" or socks or whatever the hell else you gave people. Like I was like, good Lord.
I've gotten beer
Koozies.
before, but never. That was the first tiki mug
Nice.
someone's given me. So,
Yeah, you and Brian Azarillo both.
oh, Brian got a tiki mug too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Go, Carrie. Tell the
he
story.
collects tiki. He collects his tiki stuff, but he doesn't drink tiki drinks. He drinks craft beer. But he
Right.
has a shelf on his mantle. His mantle is like full of collected tiki mugs that he has.
That's right. You told me
So
this before, and I was surprised because I didn't know. I've known Brian a long time, and somehow
yeah,
he and I have never talked tiki. I've drank beer with Brian many times in
Mhm.
many different countries, but somehow tiki has never come up.
There you go.
well, he doesn't drink the tiki drinks. He just collects the tiki things.
Yeah,
So he's
You know?
tiki adjacent. If
tiki
anything.
adjacent. Well, there's
Yeah,
he's a Chicago guy, and there's some good Chicago tiki bars. So
there you go.
Hell
Or-
yeah, there is.
Yeah, that guy knows
I've
it.
done that.
That Walt Simonson
I
looking
haven't-
guy there.
are you a Chicago guy too?
I am. Yes. Yep.
No, what is your stance on Malort?
That's a rite of passage. So that's something that you suffer through, and then as a Midwesterner, you know about and you initiate others to. But you never really enjoy it. You only
So-
enjoy seeing others take it.
So by initiate others, you mean it's sort of like that? What's the horror movie where you have to make somebody else watch the video? Is it the
Oh
Ring?
yeah,
Ring.
yeah.
Ring.
Is this like you have to pass your
Follows or
Malort
something?
pain on to someone else?
Yeah,
And then
I
delight
feel like
in watching them be disgusted by it?
yeah, kind of. I mean,
Because
it's
it is
weird.
one of the most disgusting things
Yeah.
that I think has ever been invented by humankind. It's
Yeah, I went to a
Even-
concert and
tried.
everybody was new on the stage. They had never been to the Midwest. They're like, "What is this Malort?" And like, no one in the crowd. They're like, "Yeah, take it, try it." And they're like, "Oh, that was awful." I'm like, "That's kind of how it happens."
I always, I want to like it. I love like bitter liqueurs. I love, bitter aperitifs, but Malort is just not good. It's like
Yeah. You're not wrong.
it should be used for cleaning, battery acid off
I
of
feel like this
old
is what they
batteries
made in
or
the Matrix,
melting tires.
right? Like after they had the
You can't
Matrix.
get it anywhere.
Oh, well, you don't want it.
I-
Yeah,
Well, no, but
That's a
I
good
tried
thing.
because when we went to Terrificon, I had just recently seen an interview with Stephanie and Brian, and they were talking about Malort, and I thought that Coop was coming, but he wasn't, because I was like, "Can you grab some Malort for me, just like some little airplane bottles, so that I can like?" And we couldn't find it anywhere on the East Coast, and so unless you're buying like a jug or something, like getting it ordered
well,
in, and
definitely
he
don't
wasn't
do
coming,
that.
and so. Yeah, and it wasn't worth the gag surprise to have to pay him to ship it to me to drive, kind of thing.
No
But-
way.
Only reason you would need a jug of Malort if you had like a Breaking Bad situation where there's a body you need to melt in a bathtub. I think
Right.
Malort would do that.
Oh my God.
Do you write Malort into any of your comics?
Please don't.
I don't believe I ever have.
Good. Stay that way.
I wouldn't do that even to Lex Luthor. I wouldn't
Wow.
make Thanos drink Malort.
So
Wow.
so are you confirming that?
Donatello could.
No,
So are you,
John's been through enough. Okay.
listen, are
Right.
you confirming that that Kane, if the goddamned had been in modern time, he probably would have tried dying by that, and it still would have been. Nah,
For
that was
sure.
horrible.
That's probably where Malort came from. Is it was one of Kane's ways of trying to kill himself.
There you go. Well, MythBuster.
Damn near
Yeah.
worked, but
So, well, listen, I'm just saying, you guys are you guys are talking about all this, and I was like, God, this must be. I was like, this sounds like that time I drank Keystone Light, and I was like, who pissed in my cup? I was like, what? This is disgusting. And this is a brand? People paid for this? Why?
That's big.
Is this a joke?
I don't know. That's also like a whole thing. You get like a
Yeah, it's horrible.
Keystone.
But
Yeah.
segueing, hey,
So we've
But-
had
so-
Jason on to talk about booze so far.
doing great. So
happy to.
yeah, no, we know. But so we were going over the kind of essentially when we're waiting for you, we just kind of going over like everything we know of you because we're all fans of you. And what I was pointing out is that everybody in this circle, well, square, rhombus, parallelogram shape.
It's clearly a trapezoid, Drew.
Okay, it's everybody in this angular shape collective is familiar with your work in some way or another. Like we could literally list like 4 titles we've read or own. That is you.
Cool.
And just the range is just fantastic. And like for instance, I'm a huge fan of what you did with Wolverine and the X-Men. Like it's one of my favorite X-Men books of all time. Like you want a weird, fun team book? Go. So that, and then I also love what you did with Doctor Strange. So it was just fucking solid. And then
similar vibe, in both Chris Bachalo books with Chris Bachalo.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like I'm fairly certain I can say this, like Justin is loving everything you're putting the turtles through.
I have read issues 5 and 6, and holy shit, issue 6. Holy shit. Wow. That's all I can say.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited for people to see what Juan's doing on the series. He'll be the ongoing artist after issue 6. He's like was born to draw the turtles. It looks really incredible.
It gives me some vibes back to the Dan Duncan style of 2011 with kind of they're a little bit more lanky. And I am, Doug's loving the grittiness of TMNT so far.
There you
Me
go.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
From Alpha on, we've been enjoying this run.
There you go.
Dude, I just got to know, what did Donatello do to you? Because I was just reading, and I'm just like, okay, that kind of sucks for you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That last panel, I'm just like, I broke a bit inside, and I gotta say I'm not the biggest TMNT fan. I always ask him if I need to know anything related because I haven't had the time to sit down and just like info dump myself through it. But
yeah,
you can make characters that I know nothing about that are like legendary to people just break me,
Well, good, thanks. Like, I mean, I hope that this is a run for people who've been reading Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for 40 years, and also people who've never read a Turtles comic before in their life. This is a continuation of the IDW series, which there was 150 issues of that, even more than 150 because there were so many miniseries and stuff outside of that main series. It's a continuation of all that stuff, but everything you need should be on the pages of this comic. Like Donnie's in a bad state when that Alpha issue starts. Some of that has to do with kind of what he was going through in the last arc of the previous volume. Some of it's kind of what we skipped over there in the middle, like a year passed between that series and this one. That doesn't really matter. You just know he is physically and mentally unwell when the book starts, and then part of it's kind of what he goes through after that in Alpha, and then we catch up with him again in issue 4, and that's kind of an ongoing thing, like Donnie's mental health or lack thereof, and what he sees or hears or doesn't see or hear. Like that's a big part of kind of driving the overall story as we move forward.
Right.
As a newer reader, what I feel is that I am learning about each one individually. I can feel this cohesiveness, but there's also, it seems like you're putting in, and I'm assuming this is true to the series, or to the IP, that there is such a sense of family with them that even if they've broken up for a while, that they have to get back together. They just can't stay away from each other for too long. They can't stay mad or whatever has happened that broke them apart.
Well, I mean, they're still pretty mad at each other right now. Like there's still, there's a lot of them fighting each other at the same time they're fighting ninjas. But yeah, I mean, they're family, they're brothers. Like in this IDW continuity, they were a human family born in feudal Japan who got killed and were reincarnated as turtles. So they've been a family a long time, and have, as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, have been through a lot together. But they've kind of reached the point where they've grown apart. You know, they're four very different individuals, and they've kind of gone in four different directions, and they come back together, and they even argue about what it was that happened that split them apart, right?
Very true.
So we don't understand everything that went on there, what actually happened. We just know they're kind of. I mean, my sort of visual reference for it was like the Beatles when you get to, Abbey Road or Let It Be, where they look almost like four dudes from four different bands, right? Like they don't look like, certainly far removed from those days of where they all had the same haircut and wore the same suit. So,
Right.
Paul's not even wearing shoes.
Right, exactly. He might, and Paul might be dead by that point. We don't know.
Well, only if you play the record back.
But that's where the Turtles are right now. Is they're trying to figure out, how do we do this? Do we even want to do this? They're kind of forced back together to try to help each other, to try to fix. By issue 6, they're actually back in New York together and see what has happened there while they've been gone, and they don't really know how to move forward anymore because the pieces don't fit together like they used to.
I have a question for you about writing some specific characters. I'm a big Leonardo guy, and I feel like it's really tough to get a good read on Leonardo sometimes and make him not boring, make him not a stick in the mud, similar to what you did with Cyclops, where you had a very likable Cyclops. Is there any secret to the characterizations that you have for those leader characters, similar to Cyclops and Leonardo, that helps them stick out and not just be kind of bland?
I don't know. I mean, I never thought of Cyclops that way. I mean, I liked writing Cyclops. I mean, I
liked reading it.
Thanks. I mean, I remember at the time some X-Men fans accused me of hating Cyclops, like during the Schism days, and I'm like, I don't hate Cyclops. Wolverine does, and I'm writing the Wolverine side of it, but there are no characters that I hate. And I mean, I really love writing Leo. Like that issue 3 was the Leo one with Cliff Chang, which is one of my favorite comics I've ever done. Well, some of us that's so cool with Cliff, and it was what he did was so incredibly gorgeous. But I like writing that kind of stuff. The guy who's on a spiritual quest and really tortured and trying to kind of leave his old ways behind and embrace this new way on the banks of the Ganges River in India, where there's these, in real life, they're the kind of turtles that are used to eating human remains of people who get cremated along the river, and there's a lot of necrotic pollution in that river. So these turtles are used to snacking on dead humans, and so Leo kind of sees that as the place where he needs to go to find the sort of the enlightenment he's looking for. He wants to go hang out with these man-eating mud turtles.
Yeah, these are the ones that'll stack up under, and when they somewhat hibernate, and they can just stay dormant on big stacks underneath the mud, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, as you can guess, it all doesn't go well.
No.
Much like the X-Men, they can't have nice things.
Nope.
Right.
And now we know we must fear the turtle. Before
the turtle moves.
Listen, the turtle knows. Okay. And that's not. And listen, the turtle knows, man. And again, you got to fear all turtles. Ones with weapons, regular ones, giant ones that apparently help you defeat evil alien clowns. With a lot, just turtles in general. You don't think, no, they're so slow. I'm like, it's called plotting.
I mean, that wasn't quite the message of the issue, but sure. Be wary around turtles, I think is fine advice.
Yeah.
Be nice.
Yeah, just be nice. And remember, don't ever thump on the shell. They hate that. But and then I know Leo definitely wants to talk to you about Absolute Superman. I mean, we're all reading it, we're all loving it, but I mean. Yeah, Leo, do you want to show off your little collection, your support?
So I know Justin definitely wants to talk about the Infinity Dime.
Definitely do I.
Definitely
just went in.
Yeah, great covers on that.
Yeah, I was able to pick up most of them. And
Nice.
then same with the Absolute Superman. I was able to grab all the covers here.
Yeah, a lot of great
Now-
covers.
now
in there, too.
How has the feedback been?
For
I'm
which one? For Uncle Scrooge or for Superman?
Sorry, for Superman. Let's start with.
I mean, great. I think. I mean, I try not to be too tuned in on feedback one way or the other. I mean, everything I've seen from Superman has been great. People seem to really be digging it. Which I'm happy because I'm super into it. I mean, we're just issue 2 just came out.
Oh, so good.
Last week, I think, right?
Just read it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still, we're really just getting started. Like this book, I give you some of the meat in issue 1. You get a little more in issue 2. It's very much about spreading it out. Like this is not it will take a while before you get the full picture of kind of what this story is and what's going on with Kal-El, and there will be even like I've been writing the issue where Krypton blows up, right? Spoilers, but Krypton explodes.
Oh my God! What?
But even within that, like knowing that there's still a lot of surprises in that issue, and it made me sad writing it because I've enjoyed writing that Krypton part of the story so much. Enjoy writing young Kal-El there and his parents, and so it's actually hurting my heart to have to blow it all up. So hopefully, it'll hurt your heart.
I am loving
reading
Lara.
it, and still in ways. I think it can break your heart in ways you're not expecting.
So when
Most of what you do does that.
Yeah.
Well,
So I have a question.
Thanks.
I'm
I'm trying
Doc
to make you all
Tate
cry
Chicken.
as often as possible.
But so I have a question. So because you're known for taking characters in different directions. You did, Thor being unworthy, and then Jane Foster, aka the Mighty Thor, being a thing. The X-Men. You had Schism, where you had the Cyclops and Wolverine, and even this. The two different schools, and even this, you're redefining Superman, or even the Empiricum and the death of magic in your Doctor Strange run. Like, how do you what's your approach from when you're taking these characters in these directions? Because again, you're a lot of times you're dealing characters that have been around for decades. So what's those challenges, and then how do you feel you overcome them?
I mean, the challenge is always just to take all those stories from the past and kind of distill down like what do I think is cool about this character? What do I respond to? What do I want to see? And then just do a story that hopefully feels different from so much of what we've seen in the past. I think that's always the challenge. I mean, with Superman it's a bit different, and this is we're doing a completely new version of him and his story. So my mandate was always just, think of this as if I'm making up the character of Superman for the first time today, right now, with the same ideals as Siegel and Schuster had in 1939, and the same kind of core meaning, but to not be precious about anything, to change whatever I need to in order to tell the story that I'm trying to tell. And so with if I'm doing Thor or Turtles or whatever, it's usually not quite as radical a reinvention, but it's still kind of the same thing. I mean, I did the Jane Foster stuff in my Thor run was one of my favorite things I've done, and to me that was a quintessentially Thor story, right? The most quintessentially Marvel, quote unquote Marvel story I think I've ever done, like classic Marvel style, in terms of her secret identity and the fact that she's dying in her human form and but has to keep turning into Thor to do Thor things, and by doing that she's making herself sicker every time. Like that's classic old school Stan and Jack kind of stuff, right? So to me that was all built on the those original Thor stories,
Mhm.
the Walt Simonson stuff, where we for the first time saw somebody else come in and pick up the hammer and be transformed by it, and Beta Ray Bill, and kind of fulfill that original promise of the inscription. Those are all building blocks of what I did with Jane Foster and the Mighty Thor. So it's like you're standing on the shoulders of all those stories from the past, but you're not recycling the same thing over and over again, and not just doing what is the most obvious version, based on everything that we've seen before. Like, take it somewhere else, do something different. That's always what I'm striving to do, and Turtles is similar, and the Turtles is what I'm doing as Turtles is very much taking them back to their roots and boiling it down to a core cast of characters, and trying to doing something very much inspired by the grittiness and rawness of that original Mirage Studios book, and all those 80s Frank Miller comics that those guys were riffing off of, to take all that and mash it up, but still do my kind of take on that, so I think that's the same. And Uncle Scrooge was very much the same, and that was me. It's coming from my love of those Don Rosa Scrooge stories, which are absolutely incredible. If you've never read those, I encourage you to go pick up those.
Yeah, this one is one of the most satisfying books that I've read this entire year. This was so good. I love it. Is there going to be more? Are you going to make more?
Yeah, well, we'll see. There's a chance you could see more.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that book. I loved writing. There's a letter I wrote in the front of it that kind of talks about my relationship with Scrooge and what his stories mean to me. And but one thing I didn't expect was that, like, how many people I know messaged me after that book came out and were like, "Hey, I read this comic with my kid, and he or she loved it." Like,
exactly, yeah.
Which is great. I don't surprisingly, I don't get that a lot, with Scalped or Southern Bastards or Damned or Punisher. Yeah, I read this Punisher King of Killer stories with my kid, and now he won't go to sleep at night. So, but I was really kind of unprepared for, like, how much that touched me and how much I enjoyed that, of like, oh yeah, shit, it's nice to write something that you can read with your kids. So I think I would definitely like to do more of that.
So we have a question here from Doug McKellar. He said, with pretty much all the original TMNT villains beat and gone, what can we expect for villains and or big bads?
Well, I think because like I said, this book is, very much looking back to the original black and white Mirage Studios book for inspiration. Our villains are who you would expect to be. It's the Foot Clan, which continues on the previous continuity. So you got Karai, who's the Shredder's granddaughter, who's the Jonin, the leader of the Foot Clan these days. She's a part of the story, but really the main villain is a new character that we see in issue 5, who's the newly elected district attorney of Manhattan. So the story is really about kind of the weaponization of New York City against the Turtles. So yeah, that's sort of the main, this new guy sort of leading the Foot Clan are the main bad guys for this first big arc.
Nice.
Very exciting stuff.
We were talking about this a little bit before you came on, and I had wondered when it first came out that you were writing Absolute Superman, how you, with how dark you can make things be, would bring about Superman. Not that I doubted you at all for any moment, but because as we were saying before, and Philip Kennedy Johnson has mentioned this multiple times about Superman, you can't have Superman become a bad guy, because then he's no longer Superman. It's just, you're just writing a different character and calling him that and costuming him. But you found a way to go, and instead of making him being a bright, flashy superhero, saving everybody in Metropolis and doing stuff, you found the dark and gritty underworld kind of place where, yeah, there's a big bad going on that's a whole corporation, but they're just killing people and torturing people, basically, for mind purposes and things like that. And I love the way you were able to make it a darker comic, and he is a little, he's seen a bit more, so he's not as, the big boy one, curly Q guy or whatever, but he still has all the strong beliefs that he has, and I'm really impressed with what you chose to do with that.
Thanks.
Can't
Yeah,
wait to
I mean,
go.
you can do a darker, grittier story with Superman without having to have Superman running around ripping the heads off puppies. Like I had no interest in doing a story about Superman going around killing people. Or I think when you say you want to do something that's a little darker or edgier, people go to the worst version of that in their heads sometimes. And I never had any interest in doing that. It's never what we were talking about. I don't think with anything. That's not what Scott and Nick are doing with Batman, or Kelly and Hayden are doing with Wonder Woman. Or
Yeah.
Like these are very much coming from a deep love of these characters. And Superman's of vital importance to me as a comic book fan, as a comic book creator. Like he was a huge part of me, of why I'm here, why I'm sitting here in a room like full of, like you can't, I just moved a month ago, so I'm still setting up my new office, but these are all shelves of books and toys, and there's like a Superman lamp right there, my Superman nightlight from when I was a kid.
Oh wow.
The chunk of kryptonite that I cut a page out of the back of an issue of DC Comics Presents and sent it in with, probably $5 to buy a
you are a legit
chunk of
fan.
green, right? Spray painted green. So all that stuff. There's a spinner rack over there with the shitty torn up copy of World's Finest at the top. That was the first comic book I ever read.
Wow.
Like the cover's long since separated from the staples, but
yeah.
So Superman was like at the heart of me first falling in love with comics, and I've been a huge Superman fan my entire life. Wanted for a long time to write Superman. Got to do a little short run in Action Comics, but what we're doing in Absolute Superman, even though it is a different take on the character, it's a different universe, it's a different kind of Superman story than we've seen before. Like I said, there are going to be a lot of surprises. The villain we're going to get to, and I think we'll see him for the first time in issue 6, probably.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a villain we normally associate with Superman. So there's going to be a lot of stuff about this that is different from any sort of Superman story you've seen before. But in the same way that I talk about what I did with Jane, and how to me that is a profoundly classic Thor story, I look at this in the same way. As everything I'm doing is coming from a place of love for who that character is, where he came from, what he meant to his original creators, what he means to, is meant to fans since then. But to show that in a way that it still feels fresh and exciting and new, and hopefully relevant to today.
Oh yeah, you're doing
Leo, I know you had a
fabulous.
question.
Yeah, I absolutely love what you're doing with Absolute Superman. The whole Absolute line I'm loving so far. It's when we had Kelly on the other week, Absolute Wonder Woman is friggin' amazing. And being a big Batman fan, personally, I'm Batman, Superman, those are my big two, and Absolute Batman's friggin' amazing. But I love what you did with the origin, because with Superman, growing up with the Kents and growing up with a loving family, you gave him that on Krypton, but he doesn't find out that Krypton's destroyed normally with when he's growing up with the Kents till later in life. Now with your story, you're ripping away his whole family when he's young, so he has that, that loss, early on, and it just. I can't wait to see where you bring. Sorry, my alarm for a pill. Can't wait to see where you bring that character. And so we have
speed bullets.
Yeah, like speed bullets.
I'll take the next one, Leo, while you take your pill.
Yep.
So I actually, Jason, I did have a question, because when we had Kelly on, she told us, because we were asking, creators, like some people admit that they listen to music, some people film soundtracks, bands, and whatnot. She told us that while she was writing Absolute Wonder Woman, she won. Killing in the Name of definitely came up while with that, which
Sure, that makes sense.
as a Rage fan, I was like, oh my God, that is the most metal thing ever. Like, fuck yeah. Is there any, like, when you're, okay, so there's two questions. So when you're writing, are you listening to anything? What is it? And were you listening to anything specific when you're writing Absolute Superman?
I don't listen to anything while I'm writing. Like I work in silence, hopefully, as silent as possible. Hopefully there's nobody else in the house making noise. I had guys here today doing some electrical work, so it was hard for me to work when there's drilling and hammering going on. So no, I can't listen to music. I listen to music when I am like thinking about stuff. If I'm going for a walk, I've got a playlist going on, and I'll use that a lot of time just to turning stuff over and over in my head. So I have started to build a Superman playlist. I don't think I'm ready to tell you what all is on it just yet. There is no Rage, though I do love Rage.
Okay, good.
Only Hocus Pocus by Focus, though, right?
Sure, I don't think I know what that is, but no,
it's an obscure yodeling rock from the 70s.
Yes, I think when I think Superman and Krypton, I think yodeling.
Yep.
And I will say, in terms of what Lilo was saying about the Krypton part of it, I think one of the, it's good to be able to talk about this stuff now, because I was trying to be so coy and not say things before the book came out. I didn't want you to know that that Kal-El was still like 13 years old when he was on Krypton, right? I wanted you to be surprised with that. And hopefully, if you're listening, you've already read that, and I didn't just spoil that for you. If you haven't, then just stop listening now and come back.
It's been out a month.
Come back in 10 minutes. But to me, the first thing I figured out about this Absolute Superman was that, yeah, he needed to be older when he came to Earth. Because I mean the fundamental part of this is an immigrant story, right? Like Siegel and Schuster were immigrants. Like they wrote Superman as kind of the ultimate immigrant, as sort of Moses and put in the basket and went down the river. But this was going to be a different kind of immigrant story, it's set in the present day. So I realized I wanted Kal-El to have an immigrant identity, right? To have a Kryptonian identity. And for that, he needed to have a Kryptonian personality, right? Like a history there. And then to know, like, he knows what he lost. He remembers what he lost. He remembers his relationship with his parents and his friends. And Krypton had his problems, and it's things that weren't great for he and his family, but at the same time, he loved it there, So it's like taking that rural Smallville life and upbringing and that relationship with the Kents that we're used to, and transplanting that to Krypton. So I knew right away that was going to be a big part of the overall story. So it's nice to finally be able to talk about that part of it.
Yeah, and you Sunstone stuff and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. The Stones, but also you gave him like a working class family, and having him, go protect those workers and actually doing their job for them when they were working in a dangerous situation. Was there any discussion with Scott Snyder with Absolute Batman? Because Absolute Batman is more of a working class as well. So it seems like both are on a similar structure. Batman is a construction worker now instead of a billionaire. And
yeah, I mean, when Scott was the first person who called me and told me about his kind of thoughts and ideas for doing this Absolute universe, and initially it's just he and I talking, and we weren't even, he wasn't writing Batman, I wasn't writing Superman. We were just talking about what would this look like, what would these characters look like, and he had some he already had some thoughts about Batman, and yeah, that was part of it, of changing. If you're creating that character today, you don't make him a billionaire, right? Like we don't quite love our billionaires quite as much these days. So, and I think that was just sort of again like the impetus of why I started looking at Superman. Of like, okay, well, how would I rethink this? I mean, I figured out pretty quickly if I was going to be a part of this absolute universe, like I wanted to do Superman. And so I kind of took my lead from what Scott was doing and thought like, well, how would this character look different today, than 1939?
Nice. And I know you can't say anything, but I just hope that, crypto made it, there as well.
God damn.
Well, because he has crypto on Krypton, obviously. It's, I'm a dog lover, so just I hope he made it off.
I hope he did too.
Yeah.
There you go. Time will tell.
Leo was
Good
talking
answer.
about this before. So Saul is his outfit, his action suit, and it's his ship, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, and it's funny because it to me it comes across like one of my favorite characters, kind of like Skeets and Booster Gold. You know how they have that conversation going, but maybe
Sure.
Saul doesn't have that sort of wry sense of humor. So I'm
Right.
loving the interactions.
Thanks. I like writing that too. We got kind of more of a glimpse in issue 2 of sort of what the suit can do. You got to see the dust cape in action a little bit, and also another little flashback to Krypton where we see Laura and get a bit of the history of that suit, where it came from. You see more of that in issue 4. Is that right? No, issue 3. Issue 3 is mostly Krypton.
Oh, cool.
It's
Nice.
almost completely Krypton.
There you go.
And
That's
then
good.
issue 4 kind of comes back to Earth. So issue 3, you get kind of more pieces of the puzzle of the suit, the rocket ship, sort of how, but what's different about Kal-El's time on Krypton and how he came to Earth.
I
This has gotta
love
be
the
an exciting
recasting too.
time. Just saying.
Sorry?
Oh, go ahead, Carrie. I was just saying this is an exciting time.
I'm sorry. I was saying I love the way things are recast, like the way that Lois shows up, but they're in a thing together, but it's not the Daily Planet. It's just wow.
Yeah, I mean,
they aren't friendly right off the bat. So
I love so many of the different kind of new versions of Superman we've got over the years, from comics to TV to film. But so many of them do start with kind of those characters in the same places that we're used to, right? Like Lois pretty much always at the Daily Planet. And I wanted to do something where nobody we meet in this universe is where they're supposed to be, right? Nobody, however, for whatever the machinations of how things shook out differently in this absolute universe, nobody ended up where they're meant to be, including Superman, including Kyle. So everybody he meets is going to be in kind of, a bad place.
Mhm.
Like nobody's, well, I won't say nobody, but I say most everybody we meet, it hasn't worked out great. They haven't, something's wrong, right? Something's missing.
Right.
Like they wake up every day feeling like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Like it doesn't feel like it. So I that's the world that Kal-El's going to travel, and Lois is kind of the first version of that. And again, we'll get more pieces. You get a lot more pieces of Lois in issue 4. Like it's kind of she's a bit of the focus in issue 4, and we kind of start to understand more about why is she doing what she's doing, and what does she stand for, what is she fighting for, and how is that the same or different from the Lois Lane that we're used to.
Mhm.
She seems to already have that really strong personality going, though, that like curious and a little bit behind everyone, but definitely the focus that we've gotten used to her having just in an entirely different way.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean,
I'm kind
she's
of
kind of
just
she's in the issue 2, you see she's kind of the first person on Earth in the time that Kal-El's been on Earth to really see him, right? Like other people get a glimpse of him, like the guy, the Brazilian miner that he talks to in issue 1. That guy gets a glimpse, but Kal-El's usually gone before anybody can really see him too deeply, and he's trying to not be seen in all sorts of different ways, literally and figuratively. And Lois is really the first one who she spends enough time with him because they're chained together, and he lets down his guard for a moment, and she really gets to see him, and that kind of has a profound effect on her, as we see that issue and as we'll continue moving forward. So I like, even though their circumstances are different, how they meet is radically different. There's still, in some sense, she's the one who sees Superman for the first time.
Right.
And she seems to have a very strong moral, ethical center, too, is one of the things you can see for her working for Lazarus, which will be really interesting for me to see how she got tangled up with them. And I wonder if that has to do with her father, who was military or anything. But I mean,
well, I think
that's
that's a good assumption to make.
All right, then.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, guys, too, it's going to be trouble with the Brainiac algorithm and a mechanical suit. I'm just saying that's also going to be trouble.
Oh, boy.
Sure. Well, and they're, you got a lot of peacemakers. You got one peacemaker in particular that you see at the end of issue 2 who does a bad thing, and we'll see that guy again in issue 4 and kind of learn who he is. So we continue to get more glimpses of what appears to be Brainiac, whatever this version of Brainiac is doing. Like that glimpse we get at the end of issue 1 is really meant to be, like, I was trying to kind of channel that, that shot of Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs, where he's like sitting with his back to us, sewing a suit made out of human skin, right? Like that's kind of the vibe I'm going for with Brainiac. He's appears to be the same kind of Brainiac, and he's got a bunch of bottled cities, but these are more like the, trophies or experiments, torture experiments in torture that you'd see in a serial killer's lair, like those those bottled cities are
right
emitting lots of tiny little screams. So
yeah, and you got one even saying "kill me, kill me,"
right.
Yeah.
So this, I think you can assume this is a bit darker version of Brainiac than we're used to seeing, but also Brainiac. I'm not saying that Brainiac is even the main villain in this arc. Like there are more surprises yet to be revealed. And
there's still Booster Gold somewhere out there.
Somewhere.
You mean like Booster Gold from like the DC All In special?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have plans for Booster Gold and Absolute Superman. I do love Booster Gold. I mean, I bought that, that original Dan Jurgens book, like fresh off the spinner rack back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to write Booster at some point, but I don't have plans for him in Absolute Superman just yet.
You should cross.
I want to see what you could do to Booster.
That would be amazing. That would be a worthy crossover. Time travel, Turtles in Time with Booster.
Oh yeah, sure, I'd write that. Yeah,
my head would explode. So
his head would literally explode.
Did Mark Russell do a Booster Gold Flintstones crossover?
Yeah, that exists. Yep,
yep, totally awesome.
Did. If you've never read the Mark Russell Flintstone series, then by all means you should stop. Turn me off right now and go read that because it's absolutely genius.
The Jetsons too. The Jetsons was incredibly deep. I didn't expect that when I read it. I was like, you want to talk about a book making you cry? I'm like, oh my God, that's Rosie. So yeah, and I mean, the Flintstones was pretty damn good. I would have read the crap out of that if it kept going.
Insanely good. Yeah. Crazy good.
So Jason, I had a question. Because we know that sometimes some creators we've seen that they put pieces of themselves into characters or whatnot, or essentially they model themselves after a character. Is there in any of your work, has there been any character that's essentially you, or like something that they did that is a very much a you thing?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, I think every character and also none of them, like um I think there are pieces of me hidden all over the place there, right? Like there has to be, you have to be kind of bringing something of yourself to the table. You have to hook in emotionally before you're going to get other people to do so.
Mm,
But at the same time, I'm not trying to write anybody who's like speaking my words, or who's just me like running around and thinly veiled fictional clothing. Like I take great joy from the fact that at various times over the course of my career, I was criticizing for pushing my Christian ideals in my work, and at the same time criticized for being a Satanist. Like I love that. So I love when people blast me for opposing viewpoints, because I don't want you to read my work and just hear my voice. Like it's not about that. Like I take pride in that I've written a lot of different kinds of things,
mm,
like the things we've talked about. I mean, what I did in Uncle Scrooge is very, very different from Absolute Superman, which is very different from The Goddamned, which is very different from Wolverine and the X-Men. So
mhm,
I don't want to have like a house style or a house voice. I think there are certainly tropes that I've developed over the course of, you know, however many comics I've written. I think in the 600, 700 range. Like, yeah, there's some through lines, there's some themes, there's some
mhm.
characters, some whatever like that you can trace that are similar through those. But I don't want there to be. I want there to be a lot of me in everything I write, but
Mhm.
not too much, not so much that everything sounds the same or feels like it's just me speaking through a character's mouth. I think there are moments you will find here and there where maybe I indulged myself in that way. I think there were bits of the Gore the God Butcher story that I felt like the closest I came to like speaking my own beliefs at times.
Okay.
Um, and certainly there was the one issue of Thor where I straight up like took um, things that people screamed at me online and put them in the book. So it's not exactly the same, but that was straight up me funneling my real life directly into the book, and which I've always felt like, you know, people who scream things at me or try to make points online, like I have no interest in engaging in that discussion, which is not a discussion. That is not the way to have a productive dialogue, and I'm not interested in that. If I want to say something, I'll say it with the story. I think questions, people still yell at me about Thor. 10 years since the book ended.
Right.
Like the Odin answered that, Thor answered that. Like I answered those questions, but you have to read the story to get the answer. So it's like I'd much rather let my work speak for me.
Okay.
I think you have a definite voice that is recognizable. I don't think that you fall into tropism of yourself, though. I just think that you can tell that it's a you story, but it's not like you're repeating yourself or overdoing certain things too often. You just have a very distinct voice going into things. And like you, and I'm by no means judging people here. This is just me saying something that I think is completely different than what anything you'd normally written, and that what I would normally read, just because I am the dark person of the podcast. Everybody else reads somewhat happy things, and I'm like, I want the horror and the scary stuff and the darkness. But you could write My Little Ponies, and I would be like, oh my God, I have to read that, you know? And I'm not so like Tony Fleek writes My Little Ponies. He scares the shit out of me in some
Tony's
of the things
great.
that he
Yeah,
writes.
I'm a big
Yeah.
Tony Fleets fan. Yeah, I mean, I can't say I've got a hook for My Little Pony, but never say never. I mean, I wouldn't have thought I would be writing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, even though I've been a Turtles fan for 40 years. But it's just that I didn't know that was an option. Kind of thought it never crossed my mind. So I didn't think I'd ever write Uncle Scrooge, and I did. So who knows? You never know. Maybe someday I'll figure out that My Little Pony angle and see if I can make it happen. I did. I was
And
supposed
now
to.
you have me reading 2 new comics.
I don't think I've ever told anybody this, but there was a time I was supposed to write a Yo Gabba Gabba comic
What?
many years ago for Oni.
Oh
It
my
kind of fizzled out, never happened because I loved Yo Gabba Gabba. I had a kid who was the perfect age when it started. We went to see him live. Somewhere I've still got a Yo Gabba Gabba T-shirt that I bought there. So
Muno and
I was super
Plex,
excited about it. My
Tifa.
kid was really jazzed, but it kind of never came to be.
That would be awesome. That's
Oh my
such a
God.
niche thing. I love it. But I was just gonna build on what Carrie was saying, that I almost felt the opposite with Ninja Turtles, because I couldn't tell your voice for at least a good couple issues going through. Like, I didn't recognize it, and I've read like your entire run of Wolverine and the X-Men and all of that. Not Thor. I don't read Thor, but I'm wearing a Thor shirt. So, but yeah, it was kind of like reading Alpha. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, this is Jason Aaron, but it's like, this doesn't seem like a Jason Aaron book yet. So it's kind of like a slow build to the story and all that, and I kind of felt the opposite of what she was saying there. So it seems like a completely unique experience in this writing.
Well, good. Well, cool. Yeah, I mean, again, I was trying to channel a lot of Frank Miller, like I said, in that, the gritty kind of Daredevil, Sin City kind of Frank Miller narration caption
I just
style.
cannot wait until people get to issue 6 and they see what I'm talking about, and they're looking at like old school Mirage, and it's like, yeah, anybody who's complaining about, like, if you don't like anything IDW is doing, take a look at this. Start here. I love everything, but then like, if you look at this, that's for you.
Yeah, it's the old school Mirage put into a sausage grinder and ground up, and some really delicious sausage comes out. That's a little bit of that, little Frank Miller, a little bit of me.
So something I was also going to bring up, Jason, is that I'm a really big Friday the 13th fan, and Carrie, our resident, she brought up
I've been waiting to get this in.
the Friday, how I spent summer vacation, and I was just like, what? Like, first thing, I just need to say, you and your story included something which is like my horrible nightmare of being falling into a cavern, turning on a light, and then it's all spiders. Like, that is just nightmare fuel for me. I was like, no. Also being a huge Jason fan. But I was like, wow, like, and again, you told so much, 2 issues. I was like, fantastic. Like, because again, when I own all 50 issues of Wolverine and the X-Men, and plus some of the spinoffs. I've read the Thor run. I own Original Sin. I've read War of the Realms, all this stuff. But like, I'm always blown away when writers like yourself, you guys do so much with so little, because I feel like sometimes you don't see that a lot these days. Like your one shots, or like your 64 pagers, or you didn't see like your 3-issue mini series as much. So like, one, what was that like working on Friday the 13th book? And then, like, is there a trick to do like really short storytelling? I mean, I was telling these guys, one of my favorites was, I think he did like 1 page for Marvel 1000. And I recall it was Wolverine and the Punisher together. And I think they were talking about bath bombs.
They are. Yeah, that may be another one of those instances of me putting a lot of myself into a story. Wolverine admitting that he loves bath bombs.
Yeah, tell us. So you tell us what he likes.
Louis L'Amour novels and bath bombs. That's
yep.
For you.
So freaking funny. But yeah,
I loved writing that Friday the 13th story. That was one of the first work for hire things I did. That was with Ben Abernathy, who, I just once I finally came back to DC, I started doing Batman Offworld with who Ben then left DC, and he's over doing the Interjohn universe stuff with Skybound now. But yeah, I was super excited when Ben offered that to me. The Wildstorm they were doing like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre book and Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th books. They were all really good.
Oh yeah,
I remember really liking all those. Yeah. But I mean, after, the first two books I did kind of breaking into comics were The Other Side, which is a Vietnam War book, which was inspired by my cousin who was a vet and novelist. And I really never worked as hard probably on anything I've written since. And just how deep I went into that story. And, I knew a lot of my cousin's fellow Marine combat correspondents from Vietnam, and so I didn't want to do anything that was going to embarrass or anger or annoy those guys. So it meant a lot to me to have my research down. I also, one of those guys is Dale Dye, who is the most eminent military technical advisor in Hollywood for probably 30 years. He's in Platoon and Saving Private Ryan, and he's kind of been the guy, right? Like I could email Dale and ask him questions about things, which now is ridiculous to think that I could do that. So that was a very research heavy book. And then that was followed by Scalped, which was, set in a modern day Indian reservation in South Dakota, and also kind of pulled in real life, the versions of the Leonard Peltier story and the American Indian movement and all that sort of stuff. So again, very research heavy book. So after those, I got asked to write Friday the 13th. I was like, I don't have to do any research for this because I've seen all those movies. Like I watched every single one of them, and loved the period of my life where I really loved the Nightmare on Elm Street for whatever reason never clicked for me. I mean, I liked it. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I loved that first movie and never really cared as much about any of the other ones. But Friday the 13th, for whatever reason, I thoroughly enjoyed. I think just because it just kind of became more and more ridiculous as it went, and he basically became like this super villain. So maybe it was that spoke to me, but I had seen all those movies, so I had to do share a name zero research. Character. Right, exactly. And there's also I got a McFarlane Toys, Jason.
Oh, the movie Maniacs.
Yeah, he's standing up there with a bunch of aliens and Godzillas and Bruce Lee for some reason. I'm not sure. So yeah, I'm really proud of that story. I'm always happy and excited the few times people bring them up to me to sign. So thanks for bringing it up. I don't think any other podcast I've ever done has ever asked me about my Friday the 13th work.
Oh yeah, big Jason fan. So.
And you made Jason basically a really good anti-hero, like a strong, like in the movies he kind of is, but in your book he's really strong in it. There is a definite villain that is not him that is involved in this book, and it's wonderful. I love how you did that. You just you grab it and you're just like, Arr.
Yeah, and I think you also tapped into that wonderful antithesis of that again in the movies everyone is unlikable, so that's why you're rooting for them to die. You're like, these are shitheads. Like I don't care. Like fuck this little kid. He's being such a dick. Like, all right, cool. He's dead now. All right, good. But like even this, he's like, oh look, this camp dinner. Oh, they're all awful people. Cool, die. But like I said, I loved it, especially because I've always felt a kinship to Jason, being someone who was bullied. And I was like, yeah, Jason he just got a raw deal, man. He's just. And then it's funny, someone's like, well, why is he killing people? I said, because you know what? Revenge is a dish best served with a machete. Right? So because he's got he's the best anti-bullying law ever. Like, leave him alone. Summer camp sucks. Okay, leave the kid alone. Fuck you. Like, damn. But no, it was just, again, 2 issues. It was great, and even the ending, I was like, oh man, this is the best, worst Mother's Day gift in the world. At the end, I was like,
Oh, don't
Well,
give it away.
if you haven't read them, I'm sure you can probably find them in like a $1 bin at the next convention you go to.
yeah. But
Terrificon was loaded with the $1 bins, 50-cent.
oh wow.
Books. Like I'm literally still bagging and boarding comics that I bought at Terrificon because I bought so many.
Nice.
So did
I
Leo.
was trying to track down one comic at Terrificon and nobody had it.
What was it?
And Drew, which issue was it? It was the first appearance of John Santres as Principal Santres in the Ultimate Universe, because I wanted John to sign it. And I brought it with me and it got lost somehow in our whole table setup. And then we found it after we packed up. And he was already gone. But so it's like an Ultimate Spider-Man number 13 or 19, something like that. And
no, Carrie, it was USM 129. Yeah. Point is, so, well, again, Carrie being the queen of research, she found that, and we know John. He's been on the show for us. He's a friend of the show. And we had seen him in between doing one of the panels. I'm like, oh, we got this. And he was like, wow, that is so, he had never signed any copies. He was like, that's really great. Did you guys, notice that detail and things? I was like, I'm always the one. I was like, we could do it, but all this one up here, the Squirrel Wrangler. She knows, man. And beware that squirrel, Jason. It likes to steal wallets. It almost lifted Brian's.
Oh, jeez.
Brian totally accused him of stealing his wallet. I was like, see, I don't think I had Ratatosker. He wasn't hanging out for your interview. He was out having a smoke break.
Tell Oscar to watch out for stray bullets.
You're gonna get scalped.
Well, Oscar might like my book Bug Wars, which is coming up in.
Yes, we weren't sure how much you wanted to talk about that.
It's mostly bugs, but there are some squirrels involved.
Awesome.
Yes, there are.
Listen, I think you just reading some of that, reading the ash can. I was like, oh god, I'm picking up leftover trauma from Honey, We Shrunk the Kids.
That's the vibe I was getting. Yes, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids with John Carter of Mars.
Yeah, I was just
yeah.
I was just like, oh god. I was like, Auntie, no, you were so young. And to this day, I'm still like, I'm sorry, guys. I know this is a bit of a rant, but I was like, whose scorpion is that? That always drove me nuts. I was like, whose science project escape into the yard? I'm just sorry. That just popped in there. Again, I'm still processing the death. But no, this was just crazy, man. And And I agree with Coop. I was like, it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's got a little Star Warsy going on there, and then it's totally got some John Carter vibe. Dude,
sure, yes, but all very dark and adult, and
very much.
My mood as are going crazy and cutting people's heads off and ripping their guts out, and so it's like I've said it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids meets Game of Thrones.
Oh, Game of Thrones. Okay.
Yeah, that's better.
I love those kind of stories of two different kinds of stories, right? There's the kid who shrinks down and goes on an adventure like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And then there's stories of tiny people, right? Where they're like the borrowers and the littles, the people who live inside a house. Or The Sword of the Atom was a huge book for me. That was another book I got brand new off the spinner rack, where the Atom goes on this adventure, and I think he's somewhere in South America, and he finds this civilization of tiny people. So it's like the Atom and this kind of riding a frog, fighting people with a sword. So I'd love this Bug Wars is kind of both of those stories. It's kid shrinks down and goes on an adventure, and he discovers this sort of warring kingdoms of tiny insect people living in his backyard, in the house where his father was killed and eaten by insects. So he's kind of on this, thrust into this world and fighting a fight to literally save his own family amongst the beetle riders are kind of the barbarians of the yard, and then you got the Roman Empire is basically the ant imperium. So you have a lot of kind of people who are half mite, half ant. Then you've got the bee lords and the spider witches, and the wasp raiders are kind of like wasp riding Vikings. So there's it's massive kind of world we're building in this kid's backyard and in a small town Alabama.
Yeah, no,
So cool. You get to research all these cool bugs too.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird real life bug stuff in there. So there are beetles that spray acid out of their buttholes, and they're
Bombardier beetle. Yeah,
the bombardier beetle. We get to see a bombardier beetle in
oh my god,
issue 4. So
I'm a nature nerd, so I love like all this stuff. I'm like,
yeah,
cool.
he was losing his mind. He was like, "This is." I'm like, we know.
Yeah, if you love bugs or if you hate bugs, this will be the book for you. We'll try to see. This is the bugs that you can see in this one backyard in Alabama are basically the weirdest, wildest insects from around the world. Like they're all here in this kid's one backyard, and we'll explain why. Why are there beetles from Europe and Africa and Asia, like all here in West Bottom Alabama. And in this yard, this house is literally my backyard from when I was a kid. Like
no kidding.
Oh wow!
I
Did your
drew the
brother
map.
look like Glenn Danzig? Like
Yes.
He's mowing the hills
Absolutely.
again.
I drew the map. Becca Carey will pretty it up and make it look a lot better than my drawing, but it's based completely on my backyard. So there's a lot of me in this, but that backyard, is filled with all sorts of sword and sorcery and bug infested craziness.
Wow.
And, I was going to say, like where I'm from in Walker County, like outside of Jasper, literally not that far from a place called Bug Tussle, Alabama. So I was going to set this book in Bug Tussle, but it felt a little too on the nose. So I just made up a town, but there really is a Bug Tussle, Alabama.
That's amazing.
I do mention Bug Tussle exterminators at some point. So
another point I want to make, but one of our friends of the show, Cliff on Comics, wanted to say that he had finished Absolute Superman 2 and he thoroughly was digging the book. So another thumbs up in your metaphorical hat, sir.
Thumbs up in my hat, like
no, just thumbs up in general. Just hey.
Thumbs up to that.
Yeah, man. But what I was going to say is, when I was reading it, it kind of reminded me of another book, which I feel is kind of forgotten, but it's a genius book. It was kind of reminded me a bit of like Joe the Barbarian that Grant Morrison did with Sean Murphy, like way back in the day.
With the toys.
Yeah, the toys and whatnot. Because again, it was like, oh, this should be fun because it's toys and everything, but then it gets really dark and heavy. And I just enjoyed the parallels there. And I was like, man, this book could just stack right up next to that. It was just, again, like you said, it's got this fun idea, but there's that, you peel it, there's that heaviness, because like you said, it's not just the bug politics, the bug people politics, but it's also, you have this family and they're dealing with the death. There's, by God, that's probably the worst way I could think of coming into finding your dad in the basement. Good Lord.
I mean, I could think of some worse ways, but
no,
I know.
That's a different kind of
We know.
Oh no, no, I got that, but I was like, oh, Yeah, that would fuck anybody up. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I love fantasy stuff. I love dark fantasy. I love sword and sorcery kind of stuff. And Mahmood and I have done a lot of Conan stuff. We did Conan the Barbarian, King Conan, and this is very much me and Mahmood wanting to do a fantasy book where we could kind of cut loose. This is
Right.
as mature readers as we want it to be, and there'll be some stuff in this series I feel like nobody's ever seen in the comic before.
Break
So
that ground.
it's us going crazy, and again building this kind of massive fantasy world that this is like 1 6-issue story. This book 1 is kind of the beginning of the story, but this is a big world and big story that'll be ongoing for a long time.
Who's the
Add it
publisher?
to your phone list, everybody.
This is
Bug War.
Image. This is
Oh, it
coming
is
out from Image in February. And
February.
that Ashcan, the Ashcan we debuted at New York Comic Con, and then a select number of them went out to, like 1,000 of them went out to, kind of the top retailers around the country. So there's a chance your local retailer may have a copy. I had some on my website at some point that sold out super quickly. So still got a small stack of them left. I'm not sure what I'll do with those yet, but if you can find it, it's got most of the first issue is in it, like the first, I think 19 pages. The first issue is almost 40 pages. It's really big. So you get a huge chunk of the first issue. You get some of Mahmood's character designs for the different sects of mites, some preview art from upcoming issues, and then there's like a pro story in there that I wrote that's like a prequel to the series. That is actually only included in the Ashcan. That is not going to be in issue 1. I don't think I'll even put it in the trade. I want it to kind of just be specific to that Ashcan.
I do believe that "Ride, you mangy flea fuckers" is one of my new favorite lines that I have ever read.
Thanks.
She did. She just showed that, and she was like, "This is like my new ride or die." I'm like, "Well, we're coming on 2025, Carrie. So good slogan there,
Well, I like it. I like it when the first line of a book can kind of give you a good feel of like, this is what you're in for. This is what you're signing up for. If you keep reading, So I felt like that was a good one that kind of set the tone.
Absolutely.
No, I'd recommend it to you because of the goddamned at Terrificon that you check out "He Never Died," the Henry Rollins as Kane movie. I don't know if you have or not.
Right.
It's no big
I
deal.
have not. Like I said, I just moved, so I've mostly been checking out boxes to pack and unpack.
And something I was going to suggest to you though with Bug Wars when I saw it was there's Sir Terry Pratchett wrote The Carpet People, and he actually wrote it when he was like still in school and then redid it. I got the mood of it when you see like the storm is coming, there's a whole terror, and it's the lawnmower going over it. This whole story takes place in a piece of a carpet that's the size of a period. And so there's some void that is coming that is the vacuum, basically. And it's all of these civilizations living through there that I just thought you might enjoy it because it's a younger, it's probably a YA level novel, but it's got some really interesting, deep politics involved. So
yeah, that sounds cool. I haven't read that, but I'll check that out.
yeah,
nice.
I just wanted to pass it on to you. So
Absolutely. Jason, we're kind of coming up on about an hour. So, did you guys have anything else that you wanted to ask him before we wrapped up?
I was just going to ask if are you going to be doing any con appearances next year? Potentially Granite State TurtleCon in Manchester, New Hampshire.
I mean, I definitely will. I don't think I've agreed to a single con yet. I haven't worked out my schedule yet. The only appearance I know for sure I'll be doing is I'll be signing sometime around when Bug Wars comes out in mid-February. I'll be signing at Third Eye Comics in Annapolis. One of if not the best comic book stores in the country. I love Third Eye. but I'll definitely be doing cons. I don't know which ones or how many yet. I'm kind of I overdid it a little bit this year, and that this is the first year I was working with Comic Sketch Art, who are great, which allows me to do more conventions because I kind of just show up. They take all the emails off my table and deal with those, and they bring all the books, set everything up. I just wander in and sign some stuff and wander out.
That's awesome.
Go to a tiki bar. So it allows me to do a lot more conventions. I ended up doing a bit too many there late in the year. I kind of just had multiple appearances. I needed to do San Diego because we were launching Turtles, and
Right.
I needed to do New York because we were launching Bug Wars, and then in between, I did Terrificon, which was awesome, and Dragon Con, which I hadn't done since I was a kid, and I went to D23 because Marvel invited me, and did some store signings in LA for Turtles. And then in the midst of that, I decided it'd be a great idea to buy a house.
Oh
so
no!
So those 2 months almost killed me. I maybe almost died from that. And also there's like 125 long boxes right here, like next to me, that I moved all myself because I'm an idiot, because I felt like, well, I don't know that the movers are going to be precious enough with my babies.
I totally understand that, and so does Leo.
With my copies of Shang-Chi and and Vigilante. Like, I got to be careful with those.
The Alan Moore Vigilante book. Yes.
Well, yeah, there's an Alan Moore Vigilante issue right there. But I mean, a full run of. I met Paul Kupperberg at Terrificon.
Oh wow!
And I was like, oh shit, I'm a huge fan.
Oh, Paul's awesome.
Yeah, we've had him on the show.
What you did.
But to sum that up, basically, I don't want to think about going anywhere right now.
No worries. Yeah.
And I just got back from Italy. I went to Milan, great convention there.
Yeah, Vincenzo was there from Turtles, actually.
Yeah, I'm so at this point I'm just tired, and I need to stay home for a while and not go anywhere. So next year, I don't know. That still feels a ways away. But I'm sure I'll be figuring that out relatively soon and announcing some cons. I love going places I haven't been before. Terrificon was a blast. Like that, if you've never been to Terrificon,
it's amazing.
Like I heard people say it's a great show, but until I went, I didn't realize. I mean, it's got a great guest list, tons of great creators, but so many comics. Like, it felt like I was a kid again, and there were so many dealers. These days it feels like you go to a Comic-Con and you'll find like the 3 guys who are selling old comics. Terrificon was row after row after row.
It's all Funko Pops nowadays, right?
Right, which is fine. I mean, whatever. Like, I like shows that have a little bit of everything, but I do miss those days when you go to Comic-Con and it was just like a sea of back issue bins. Because that's
C2E2.
I'm still, if you have that, I will go and spend a lot of money and come home with a lot of issues of, Checkmate and Haywire and Cloak and Dagger, and fill those holes in my collection. So Terrificon was a blast. Like, I loved it. So
Terrificon, it definitely Mitch puts the comic back in Comic-Con.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I totally get you with moving. I moved back in. We bought a house recently this year, but it was a short move. But I moved far away in 2012, and had a major life issue that happened around that time. And I swear the movers lifted a couple boxes. Because there's a bunch of Marvel books that I know I had that are like gone now. Like, I had a mess of Thor, and now I have like no Thor.
No big loss.
Yeah.
Right. Topic group. All right. So again, Jason, thank you so much for being with us tonight. This was absolutely fantastic. Thank you again. We have one more person in. What are your favorite comics to read, and what inspires you the most as you create? From Mr. McKellar.
I mean, I got lots of famous comics. You can see some of them, like right there. That's kind of my, inspiration
Full screening.
list of lots of
Big
omnibuses
Star
and
Wars book.
hard
Yep.
covers. I mean, the other side, this side is all shit I wrote.
Okay, that's right.
The other side's stuff I'd love to read. So yeah, a lot of Grant Morrison stuff, Garth Ennis, Frank Miller, stuff you would expect. The Uncle Scrooge books are all upstairs. The Don Rosa books are on a different shelf somewhere. So yeah, I mean, there's time, and again, it's all. I'm surrounded by mounds of comics in here, so I'm a legitimate nerd going on a long time, many decades. So
I just love that you knew what a bombardier beetle was. That blew my mind. I'm like, that's awesome.
That killed him.
Dude,
He was dead.
I was
any
telling
bug
them
that sprays acid from his butthole like is worth knowing.
That's all I'm saying.
before you got here, I was like talking. I'm like, oh my god! Like 2 days ago on YouTube Reels, I was watching this. I just scroll, and it had an animal thing, and it was like things you don't know, and it was like these beetles can be worth up to $35,000, and I'm like, and then I read that he did his research. He knows about the beetle. How do you spend $35,000 on a beetle though?
I don't
Ask
know.
Ringo.
I mean, I could spend $35,000 on a comic, I'm sure, and feel like depending on the book, like I made a good purchase. So to each their own,
Yeah, this is true. I suppose if you could mount it afterwards. Sorry. Anyway,
they've got that. They've got I did it. The other trip I did in the midst of all those cons is I went on a Disney cruise. But the one I can't remember, the Disney Wish, which has got the Star Wars bar, the Hyperspace Lounge, which was awesome. I loved it. But they've got a $10,000 cocktail on the menu that you can order there.
Wow.
Which I did not. I was hoping somebody would while I was there, so you could see there's a lot that comes with it. It's not just one drink; it's many drinks and lots of things. And then you also it includes tickets to the Skywalker Ranch.
Okay.
Damn.
But it's just you're looking at the cocktail menu, and there's 4 or 5 drinks, and then there's the one that's
you, Leo.
$10,000.
That's all you. Yeah, man. Skywalker Ranch.
Oh, I would love to, but yeah, it's I would be
the drinks you're looking for.
All right. So, like I said, thank you so much, Jason, for having come with us on. This is absolutely fantastic. And Leo will walk you over the technical things about leaving and making sure everything's uploads.
Yeah.
But before you do go, what's the best way that anybody, if they want to reach out to you or whatnot, what's the best social media?
Well, if you have a tiki bar in your local city, chances are I'll probably wind up there at some point. But online, I mean, I'm on the various socials kind of half-heartedly for the most part. The best way to keep up with me is my newsletter on Substack, which I don't do. I'm not a a Tom Brevoort. I can't churn it out every week.
Oh God, yeah.
I love
the time.
I love Tom's newsletter. Tom's made out of stone and iron. He's unbreakable. So I post mine when I have something to say or when I want to talk about whatever I've got going on. So I'm overdue to post a new one. So you'll probably be seeing a lot of them about Bug Wars as we get closer to that coming out. But that's the best way to hear what I'm up to, where I'm going to be, all that sort of stuff. Just look for my name on Substack.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
in case you ever want to be a guest on our Turtle show, Epic Tales from the Sewers, I was talking to Greg at IDW about getting you on, actually.
Cool. Yeah, Greg's the guy to talk to. Greg's awesome.
Awesome. I believe we have a bunch of your links in the show notes up above or down below. Jason, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We'll let you go. When you're ready, there's a leave studio button on the bottom. If you hit that, it'll prompt you to go to an uploads page. If you can just leave it, let it fully upload. If there's an issue, we can send you the link afterwards, but we grab all the recordings separately so we can do some editing afterwards.
Okay. Alrighty.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And Jason, if anything comes up, Leo will just send me a link and I can email it to you. No worries.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you too much,
everybody.
Thanks for talking.
So nice to see you again.
Sorry again, I was late.
Oh, it's all good.
Oh.
No need. No worries. You're good, man.
Right.
You came in like a wrecking ball. You were great.
Cool.
So,
See you.
all right, thanks. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Very cool. That was
Very
awesome.
awesome.
Oh, I love that man.
I love seeing Leo fanboy. It is so cute. Like, I mean, Justin, I've done shows with you. So, and Justin, you've also done shows with me. So, the first time we had Eric Burnham on there, I mean, remember? Like, I was losing my shit. The same thing, Carrie, when Tony Harris we had on. I was like, Starman. No, I take that back. The biggest squeak from Leo was when we had Mark Waid the first time. Leo was like, "You've written so much Superman."
Great questions tonight about Absolute Superman, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't, hearing him talk, I didn't want to say too much because I was going to ask him, like, who the big bad was going to be, because we saw Brainiac.
Like Doug did.
But my feeling is, and he's not on, so he can't say whether it's not or not, because I don't want to spoil anything. But I'm guessing it's probably going to be Vandal Savage. Like he said somebody is not usually a Superman.
Okay,
villain.
so here's Leo, here's my theory. We'll buy the book and we find out in a matter of time. Wow.
Yeah. Issue 6. I mean,
we've all bought the book though, so it's like we're all taking the right. And honestly, like, I like what Drew's saying here, because I'm a big advocate for, as much as we talk about these books, you have to go out and support them by actually buying them. So, like, I mean, I get a huge stack of stuff, and it's like, I may read Turtles online. Like I said, I read the books early so I could do a review of them. I still buy 4 or 5 different covers of the book. So
totally.
I love comics. So, it's just
it's same thing. You read it online, and then these you bag them back.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't touch them. You don't break the spine. You just pack them away and let them.
Great call on that Friday the 13th book, Drew. I had never read that, and I'm a Wildstorm guy. I didn't even know that existed.
Listen, thank you. That's all Carrie. Carrie made that recommendation. But yeah, no, I mean, listen, I think it's always, for me, that's when I know we did good. When they're like, "Oh wow, I haven't talked about that." Like, I'm like, did it?
Oh,
he will remember. All right. So
and he brought up Sword of Adam, which we covered like 2 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So all right. So okay. So we got a little bit more to cover before the end of the night. So Carrie,
I will bid you guys adieu. And
okay.
I will catch up with you next time. You can check out my show, Epic Tales from the Sewers, wherever fine podcasts are broadcast. I want to thank you very much for having me on with Jason Aaron, and I will catch you guys later.
Yeah,
see you next week.
Justin, I didn't forget about you on the website. I'm still working on that, so it's
awesome.
We're almost
Justin,
there.
We'll see you next week. I'm sure it shall be fantastic.
Excellent.
All right, buddy. Be well, okay?
Bye, Splash Pages.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Goodbye, Mr. Koopa.
All right. Okay. And then there were the terrible trio. So all right. So Carrie, do you want to do your crowdfunding Kickstarters?
Yes. Give me just a moment.
Well,
good night, Cliff.
And
thanks for showing up.
Just to let everybody else know, we still have a little bit of show left, so probably about 15 minutes left.
20 minutes. Carrie's got Kickstarters.
Okay.
So
Crowdfunders. Some of them are Kickstarters.
Carrie, just do your thing.
All right. So, basically, I've started doing this thing where I want to show you guys some of the more interesting crowdfunding projects out there and the fun ones and the things you want to get your hand on. So, Carrie's crowdfund. Hold on. Let me have a sip of whiskey.
And before you do, I saw your message in private chat. Are you
covered?
Okay.
All right. So,
And
what we're doing now is
you have the images
what?
for that. You
Yes,
have
I
the
do. I'm getting ready to hit allow, and then they will pop up on the screen. So, what we have going on is Carrie's crowdfunding, and these are things that you might be interested in checking out. A lot of them are kind of dark generally, but some of them are more positive. I've had some fun little things going on. Some of the things that I want to mention about why you want to crowdfund instead of just going out and buying a comic is because you get little things like this sword that my gnome puppet has, and all sorts of fun things that are only available through the crowdfunding projects. So I'm going to pop this up right now. I only have 3 free tonight, and here we go. That is up, right, guys? Yep. Okay. So this first one is not the right one. Okay, that's the right one. First one we're going to look at only has 5 days to go. It is done Sunday, December 15th, 2024 at 11:01 a.m. Central Standard Times. And it is by Shelley Bond. It's called I Doppelganger, Portrait of the Comic Book Editor in the 21st Century and My Last Days at Vertigo. Shelley is the editor of the Eisner Award-winning series Bitterroot, Fables, and the Sandman Overture. She's also the editor-in-chief of Off Register Press, the Comics and Design Lab she runs with her husband, artist Philip Bond, a former DC Vertigo executive editor for over 2 decades. Bond teaches comic editing and self-publishing for Portland State University and on Zoom. Basically, what this is she started a edit life in an ongoing graphic memoir trilogy. The first book was 2022's Filth and Grammar. The second book was 2023's Fast Times in a Comic Book Editing. Sorry, and this is the third book. I Doppelganger is the portrait of a comic book editor in the 21st century. It charts her rise and crawl, jump and fall up and down the corporate ladder by running a small press with Philip Bond, her husband. It's also loaded with editing advice on creating comics and avoiding the #1 true editing crime of all time, the fear of finishing them. First thing about this Kickstarter is that all backers of the physical book are going to get their names printed in the special thanks section. At its core, I Doppelganger is how to make a better comic book and original graphic novels, how to make a better comic book industry, and how to chart your own path while remaining a respectable human, making urgent art so that you can leave your mark on the history pages. What we have going on here that's fun, you can get from $1 in sponsoring it just on faith up to $1,000. She has various things. What you start on for the basic privileges, the basic pledges are your obvious just PDF version. You can get the regular book. You're going to skip on down. You get book and things. And the senior editor is fun. This you get all of the books, all of the things that go along with the comic, as well as a critical editorial assessment of your one-sheet pitch, including a 30-minute Zoom chat, plus the hardcover swag bag digital edition, and an A2 zine 31 tips for making comics 7x7 hardcover. And there is the executive editor, which gives you all of that stuff, as well as a typed out summary of general and specific notes, red pen edits on a proofread marked up hard copy of your comic, up to 60 pages of story and art by October of 2025. Some of the things that you can get on the side, For your add-ons are extra editions of the book, extra editions of her other books. One of the cool things is this record, Thieves Like Us. She put together 20 records that changed her life. It's a 7x7 hardcover book with musings about music that inspires her to rip the dance floor, yada yada yada. It was illustrated by Art by Lid. It's a 48-page book, and it really is kind of interesting to go through and see what they did in putting together favorite records along with art and how it tied into her comic books. The swag bag that you can add to anything is 2 postcards, 2 badges, and 2 vinyl stickers. It's only $15. It's doable. And so that's that one. The links will be, as soon as we're done, in the in the YouTube page is where I'm going to add all of the links to all these different Kickstarters. Ready for number 2, what we have going is the complete Little Nemo in Slumberland. And this is something where I was all about Little Nemo in Slumberland when I was a mother for the first time. And I was just all about watching the show. And this is coming out, or this ends on Saturday, December 21st, 2024. The complete collection of Winsor McKay's legendary Little Nemo in Slumberland in a single hardcover edition. Little Nemo in Slumberland depicted the title character having fantastic dreams interrupted as he woke up in the final panel. It's widely regarded as McKay's masterpiece for its experiments with the comic's form, use of color, and the varying size and shape of its panels. Panoramic perspectives, architectural detail, and sheer imagination. McKay's work has influenced virtually every other comic creator in the medium. This you can pledge, and it's in Canadian money, oddly, for me anyway. So I'm not sure exactly how much things cost, but you can go from getting a PDF with the complete Little Nemo in Slumberland and In the Land of Wonderful Dreams, the landmark comic strip that has inspired generations. The PDF includes more than 500 full-page strips by Winsor McKay in full color. This one is really interesting to me. They've released a couple of different versions out, and this is the second edition. It costs in Canadian dollars $180, which is about $128 in US dollars. Remember, though, there is shipping from Canada to the US, which is semi-expensive. It's about $30. But this is the very last chance to grab the Little Nemo in Slumberland landmark comic book strip that inspired generations, printed in 2 full color paperbacks on the non-gloss matte paper with new wraparound covers featuring more than 400 pages of his contemporary classic comic strip. Plus, you receive 3 PDFs of the complete Dream of the Rarebit Fiend and 2 PDFs of the second edition of the complete Little Nemo in Slumberland. These 5 volumes include every strip produced by McKay between 1904 and 1927. Plus, you'll receive 5 prints of Little Nemo in Slumberland suitable for framing. Plus, receive an exclusive print of a Winsor McKay cartoon on silver metallic paper. Plus, receive the full Major Arcana Tarot set of 22 cards featuring McKay's original illustrations from Little Nemo in Slumberland, printed in full color. This one is interesting because the only thing that I have problems with is that it doesn't actually include the book that you're buying to begin with. So you don't end up actually getting the regular book. You only get the second edition. And if you know the way Kickstarters work, it wasn't put on as an add-on. So you have to go 2 separate Kickstarters in order to get the original, the main book. The stretch goals they have going so far are, oddly enough for me, at least I've never seen this as a stretch goal before, a set of 2 writing pads, some magnetic bookmarks, writing pads, plus a button, some coasters, and there's also some things in the add-ons where you can get various t-shirts, some limited edition novelty stamps, some buttons, greeting cards, a huge t-shirt pack, and also some fridge magnets. So that one I will also include the link for it. And we're going on to the last one we have here tonight. And this is a backer kit project called The Book of Nosferatu, a graphic novel by Michael Morici and Todor Hristov. And I'm going to show you a couple of the pages here real quick. I'm pulling up to make sure I'm keeping everything up. The Book of Nosferatu tells the origin story of the infamous vampire monster Nosferatu. You may think you know the story, but set aside your assumptions. This tale is unlike any vampire tale you've ever read. Every monster has a beginning. I'm showing you some pages right now from inside. This is a full-color 100-page plus hardcover, not safe for work vampire tale of unrestrained gothic horror written by Michael Morici, also from Barbaric, and Dick Tracy, and illustrated by Todor Hristov of Stranger Things. They still have their early bird specials going on as early as of today. The pledge levels are between $5 to $500, so it actually keeps itself somewhat in check. What you have for add-ons are various slipcases, original art books, t-shirts, caps, enamel pins, stickers, signed book plates, posters, acrylic standee, and you can also spend $25 for a Zoom call led by the writer Michael Morici. The stretch goals that have been reached so far are digital wallpapers for desktop and smartphone, book ribbons, a spot varnish cover, and a foil cover. And here are the bundles you can get. You can get just, kudos is you donate something. You can get the book. You can get the book plus the digital wallpaper. What gets really cool here, however, is when you get the $500, which is limited to only 10, you get the Book of Nosferatu hardcover with limited edition platinum slipcase, with one random original interior art page by Todor Hristov, including an original art sketch, Nosferatu poster, enamel pin, sticker sheet, Ouroboros graphic tee, ticket to a Zoom meetup hosted by Michael Morici, a signed and numbered book plate, the digital edition, plus your name will be printed on the thank you page. These are the various add-ons that you can get. Obviously, the hardcover, signed and numbered book plate, some of the stickers, the various different slipcases that you can get. There's the pin, the cap, the graphic tee. This is the acrylic standee and the Zoom call. And yeah, that's what and I'll add that up as well, but that's what I have right now for us for our Kickstarters of the week. I think they're kind of fun, so
Nice.
I hope you guys do as well.
Well, okay. Well, thank you, Carrie. Those definitely seem pretty cool. I'm definitely interested in that Finding Nemo one. I remember watching that as a kid and thinking that was very weird.
So here's my question on that: is that on the Finding Nemo one, that that one bundle that you can only get, there's only one left. But if I get it, I can't buy the regular bundle. So, guys, people out there, do I buy it or do I let it go? This is what I need to know.
No, I'm sorry. I have ADD. I can't make decisions.
Okay. I need your advice if you're watching at home. Do I buy the one with the tarot cards and all the old stuff and convince one of these guys to just hook me up with the PDF or what? What do I do? All right. So we're almost done with the night, guys. We have something to go. Just a couple things, but what was anybody interested in any of the Kickstarters? Drew, you said you were interested in Little Nemo. I wasn't sure about if anybody but me would be interested in that. I'm glad that you like that. It's old, but
does it start off at Wallaby Lane or does it?
Oh my God!
I'm sorry.
Okay, Harry, that's a sign that we need to keep the show, because if we keep them on longer and we keep them later, he's going to just keep making more puns.
Okay, I'm just gonna keep drinking more bourbon so that I can like my way through things. But yeah,
So,
all right.
variant
I
time.
have something
Leo. Sweet. Variant time. All right. So starting off, so Marvel Comics just dropped a new Western variant. This is for Storm issue 4 by artist David Nakayama. And to be quite honest, a lot of heads have been turned by it. It's absolutely beautiful, putting a great spin on one of Marvel's most powerful mutants, aka Aurora Monroe. But it's funny enough, it's actually led comparisons to Beyonce, following the release of her Cowboy Carter album. So now again, we cannot confirm or deny how much of this was inspired by Nakayama, but you know, she has been a fan favorite for someone to see going as Storm. So who knows? Maybe this could be the thing, you know. But again, the Storm covers have been absolutely gorgeous. The series is pretty great. And if you like what you saw, I mean, you got all the other ones, but if you like what you saw about Western Cowboys Storm, that's going to be in shops January 15th. So, yeehaw.
If I'm, oh, go ahead, Leo.
No, go for it, Gary.
I was just, if I ever become a comic book character, I want my hair to be done as cool as Storm's, because like it's like
Girl?
half her character.
Yeah, girl, who's your stylist? Like, damn. All right.
But Leo had something. I cut him off.
No. I'm.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
No.
okay.
I don't know what you're going to say, but I'm shutting it down. Next.
Please do. So we had 2 images for Storm.
This is just the regular cover. Yeah.
That's the Lucas Vernick cover.
Okay.
I just threw it in because it was there. So, but yeah, that's the normal Storm cover. Ooh,
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't like us all crunched.
Yeah.
Okay, next up.
I love this so much.
Yeah. So,
oh my god.
As we know, My Hero Academia dropped their final volume, hit the bookshelves recently around the world, marking the occasion. Marvel and My Hero Academia publisher Weekly Shonen Jump did an art exchange for characters from both franchises because Koichi Horikoshi has very much said throughout a lot of his work that he has a big love of Marvel and a lot of admiration for the heroes. Basically saying that his fave is essentially Spider-Man. So we have 2 images here showing art from Brazil. So the first one is by Kohi himself, starring, you got Spidey, and you've got Deku, and then of course you have All Might there by his side. I mean, that is just begging to be on posters all over the world. And then next we have Humberto Ramos and Edgar Delgado have Black Cat being what appears to be being chased by a huge assortment of heroes from the manga series. So you have Mount St. Lady, Star and Stripe, Ochakuraka, Tsusui, Momo, Yaruzuku, Setsuna Togai, and Mirko. So, I mean, honestly, look at that. That's just fantastic as well. So, we really have no idea what Kohi's going to be doing next. He said he's planning on working on a new manga. You know, and he's thinking that he might just draw it and let someone else write it, but he's kind of like, no, I think I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. So he's still not done with My Hero. He said that he's definitely going to be supporting and promoting, as there's still several events left surrounding it. But for now, I mean, this is a beautiful way to mark the occasion. And both these pieces look fantastic. So just boom.
And when are these coming out?
They're already out.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
Lou,
yeah.
can you pull up the Spider-Man one again real quick? But go ahead, Lee. Drew?
No, I was going to say, like, I think these are both available now. These were just exclusive art pieces to mark the occasion.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah.
so folks, I'm the one who kind of throws these together. So if they look bad, it's my fault. But these look good. And if you get a chance to blow this up, find this cover, the ridiculous amount of detail done for all of the shading and stuff. It's not just like one color. There's a lot of hashtagging and stuff going on. Hashtagging, cross hatching and stuff going on. It's just insane. Get this, blow it up, and just kind of scroll over it. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece of art, and the technique is just amazing. So yeah.
No. Save it for later, Leo. Thank you. All right. Last but not least, this one you'll like, Leo. This is Star Wars.
Will I really like it?
Yes, I believe so. Variants.
He'll
Star Wars.
tell you what you like, what you really, really like. He'll tell you.
Nope. Shut that down too. Both of you are on timeout. So, celebrating Black History Month, which is coming up in February 2025, Marvel and Lucasfilms are spotlighting African American characters from the galaxy far, far away with a new series of variant covers. So we have Karen S. Darby, Ken Lashley, Mateus Manahanani, and Ernada Souza representing the wide range of Star Wars media. So you're going to see your classics, and then even recent projects like Leo, Star Wars The Acolyte, Star Wars Outlaws, and even some characters making their first ever comic appearance. So this is going to be coinciding with the 10th anniversary of the return of Star Wars storytelling to Marvel. So the characters featured this year will be, starting from the beginning, thank you, Lando Calrissian, Leo.
You said from the beginning. This is the first
This
one.
was the beginning. Yeah. On the link that I was given, this is the beginning.
Yell at me.
Yeah, Vale. You have the cunning bounty hunter that players met from Star Wars Outlaws, which was the first ever open world Star Wars game.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. You have Asha and May, who are twin sisters with powerful connections to the Force, who we saw on Star Wars The Acolyte.
Acolyte.
I'm moving on. Next. You have Lando Calrissian from the original trilogy. And
Backstabbing traitor. Oh, what?
he's not. And Mother Anisea, who is the leader of the mysterious covenant of Force users on planet Berendok, who we saw in Star Wars The Acolyte. So again, all of these will be available throughout February 2025. So if you like what you see, talk to your local LCS and book them, man.
I think I want a poster of her. She's real pretty.
There you go.
Did you see Acolyte?
No. Nope.
Carrie? Acolyte? No.
Leo, I have to catch up for the new Star. I've seen one of the third volume 3. Would that be what you consider the episode 7? No, okay, I'm talking like with movies. I haven't read a single comic.
Okay.
Or watched a show.
Guys, we're running late. Come on, focus. All right. Well,
come on, Drew.
I will say this though: there is only one news story. So, Leo, I don't know if we really need to do the usual stuff for it.
Yeah.
So, I think we should just kind of get right to it because that's the one Carrie will be covering. So, this is
the news
Carrie,
will be shorter than the intro.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Carrie, take it away.
I'm ready.
No, don't do it.
We're gonna do it. Okay. Yep. Okay. So on sale March 5th, The Thing clobbers the Marvel Universe. So Tony Fleeks, author of Stray Dogs Inferno, who has destroyed our hearts this year, is coming off his Marvel debut with Venom War Wolverine and joining Leonard Kirk, who illustrated the Fantastic Four about a decade ago, to bring Ben Grimm, aka The Thing, into the spotlight with a 5-issue miniseries. Going out on his own in search for a missing child, Grimm gets a bounty put on his head, and every villain in New York that the duo could think of to throw at him gets good and throwed, as well as probably clobbered. Fleeks enjoys the everyday man aspect of the Thing, how he just goes with the flow and stays down to earth regardless of the superpowers he receives or whatever craziness is going on around him. And Kirk is excited to be back drawing the Thing and is having a blast watching him kick some serious and not so serious arse. The covers we have, the first one is by Nick Bradshaw, and the second one is by Greg Land. And again, this will be on sale March 5th. So you get to see the Thing have some fun fights with every single person in New York they could think of throwing him at. And I think it sounds like a fun comic. Like, Ben Grimm is probably my favorite out of the Fantastic Four. Besides the Maker, who doesn't really count because he's like an evil, twisted version of the Fantastic Four. But yeah, Thing is going to have some clobbering going on. So get you some clobbering this year. And guys, really, we only have this one news story, but they gave out the San Diego Comic-Con news. They gave out the New York Comic-Con news. They fed us through the holidays, and they aren't feeding us any more news because they already gave us through March what to expect that we've been sharing with you. So that's all we got, you know?
Yep.
Well, yeah, it's great to see, you know, the Thing have, you know, I'm really interested in this book because it's going to be a good story because he has such a rocky past.
Okay, that's it. No.
I love you, Leo.
No.
I needed
That's
that.
it. No,
Yeah.
no. That's it. I'm done. That's it. No. We only have one more show this year. Stop it. Okay? I'm done. Time out. No, actually, no, not even time out. Put it on me. We're gonna wrap the show up. Okay? You're driving me nuts. Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining
That's
us.
Ratatoskers' job.
Do you see what I have to deal with here? All right. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We really appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed having Jason Aaron on. And it's true, we're winding down, and we have one more show for this upcoming year from Splash Pages. Every other show this month would be on a holiday, so we're taking time. But we have our annual, next week we have our traditional / annual live holiday read, and boy, do we have some good stories for you guys this year. So definitely stay tuned, bring some eggnog, pour some whiskey into that, and have fun because we're going to be reading not one, not two, but 7 to 8 different holiday stories, and yet still keep it within our normal confines. So how are we going to do it? Well, stay tuned and find out.
Well, you know, doing that many stories, Drew, that's a bolder move. But you are a rock star.
Okay, so you're gonna be, are we done? Are we signing off now? Are we done?
That's all you get tonight. I was happy, but that's all you get.
Drew, you're amazing. I don't take you for granted.
No, it's fine. Let's.
So anyway, I love being able to do that. That's so much fun.
You need to end the show right now. You need to end the show.
Yeah. Okay.
It's time to get this ended. Why don't we get this ended? Leo, let's get this ended.
Okay, let's get it rolling. You know, we don't want to be sedimentary. But...
Yeah. Oh Jesus. Okay, now I'm done. You driving my squirrel to drink more than I can afford, Leo. I expect a bottle for Christmas. Ratatosker.
In the fucking show.
I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. I was going to say another rock pun, but I can't think of one right now. So yeah. Anyway, you know me, you know how to find me, but head on over to our YouTube page and subscribe. We greatly appreciate that. We put up a lot of extra content there. I can't say anything else. We'll kick it over to Carrie.
I need a lot of emotional support these days. I have Ratatosker. I also have my emotional support Drew pillow. Yeah, check out me over there on Facebook. I write things. I'm on the Ally Network as well as here with these lovely gents, and I do stuff. And apparently now I just drink with my squirrel for the rest of the holidays because that's a way to kick a sinus infection. Boom. Go to my emotional support, Drew. Please.
Please send help. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us here at Splash Pages. Leo, I swear to fucking God, my man. So when I'm not thinking of ways to somehow get away with committing homicide, you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, Ghostbusterman1984. I'm also on Blue Sky as well. And we're planning a lot of great things for next year with the show. So if you aren't subscribed to our channel, please do so. And I hope you all have a great rest of the night.
I'm seriously about to spit Maker's Mark all over my keyboard.
Good night, everyone.
I
said good night.
Oh,
I love my co-hosts.
Bye.
Night.